Clapton? Like Eric Clapton?
Today is July 7th, right?
Yes, July 6th.
July 6th, okay. I knew it was July.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Elk Season Podcast. The Elk Season Podcast, Season 2, Episode 19?
19, bro.
Yeah.
19.
It is July 6th, 2023. It is 54 days till Elk Season. We are the Chambers Brothers. My name is Harold.
I'm David.
And today on the Elk Season Podcast,
We have a whole bunch of stories. Like always, we've got badgers eating beavers.
yeah,
We've got bears.
that's not a metaphor.
No, it isn't.
It's not.
Badgers. Sorry. I went back to the original story. Bears. We've got bears. We've got, believe it or not, we have elk.
We have elk, yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff to get to.
So much.
Uh,
So much stuff to get to.
water news.
First-
historical pictures. I mean,
Yeah,
it's endless.
yeah. And I went camping with
went-
a 6-year-old.
Tell me more about camping.
I went camping 3.5 hours away from Twin Falls. I did not have to go 3.5 hours away from Twin Falls. There are
Okay.
places an hour away
That's true.
in the South Hills
That's right.
that I could have gone to. We
Yeah.
could have ridden the 4-wheeler around.
Yeah.
We could have made s'mores. We could have done all that stuff. But no,
No, you didn't.
I went to the precipice of the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, you've already heard it.
But
but
they don't know that. Whoever
But-
they are.
the largest roadless wilderness in the lower 48 here in Idaho has a border, I don't know, like the size of Spain. It's so big. I don't know. What would you say? What would you say the Frank Church? Is there another state back east you think, oh, you know what, maybe Georgia?
It's probably 4 or 5 times the size of Rhode Island.
I would put it at way more than that. I don't know.
I'm guessing.
I don't know.
I'm guessing, but it's bigger than Rhode Island.
Let's just say it's the size of New Hampshire.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
If you squish New Hampshire into a ball,
And don't we have like 3 areas of wilderness?
there are many wildernesses.
But when they did that,
You mean Idaho?
in Idaho at the end of the Obama administration, when these wilderness areas came into being, because it was actually
Some of these wilderness
There was
areas
3
came
of
to
them.
being. So there's many wildernesses.
Well, I don't know where I was going with
There's
that.
the Sawtooth. There's the Boulder White Cloud. There's so many. There's so many.
Well, the
Yeah.
Sawtooth, the Boulder, anyway, you know what?
And
never
they're
mind.
different. They're different than the Frank Church. And there's the Clearwater. There's Glacier. Somehow that's different than the Bob Marshall,
Sure.
right? I mean, it's just a road that divides them.
Yeah.
So
I was just saying, I think that our wilderness areas that were established toward the end of the Obama administration are about the size of 3 New Hampshires.
oh wow, that's a lot.
And that's probably much.
That sounds like a lot. The from the book
1.5.
The Big Burn, Teddy Roosevelt and the Fire That Saved America. 1910 is when the fire happened.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt was president from 1900 to 1908, and him and Gifford Pinchot was the first interior director. He was the first forester to work.
Okay.
And they set aside, it was a big hullabaloo, but they set aside millions and millions and millions of acres. Most of what is set aside today was done so in 1910. Most of what is. So if there's anything the size of New Hampshire that's set aside, I would wager it was done in 1910 by Teddy Roosevelt.
Sure.
There are some very big, so the Boulder White Clouds. The Boulder White Clouds is Forest Service, or was Forest Service for a very long time.
Right.
And then they wanted to declare it official wilderness. And so now that's its own wilderness.
U.S. Senator Mike Simpson had an
Yeah.
initiative in 2003. I started college in 2003, and they had a representative from his office here in Twin Falls come to my environmental science class.
Wow.
And asked for everybody to sign a petition to make this entire place this wilderness area.
Wow.
And so it was 25 years in the making at the very least.
Yeah.
Of the wilderness areas that we ended up with. Okay, I'm sorry, 25. I'm sorry. I'm thinking in terms of 2023 times.
It's okay.
I said the end of the
20.
Obama administration area was 10 years ago. So I'm sorry, about 10, 15 years at the very least of Senator Simpson going, hey, we should do some wilderness. I think that's really great that he wanted to conserve these areas. He wanted more than what we ended up with.
Maybe I'm confusing national forests with designated wilderness.
Maybe.
Because whatever they did back in 1910, or 1908, it was 1907, 1908 or something. That whatever they did, they just set it aside that it couldn't be sold, so it wasn't necessarily designated wilderness.
Right.
So
and
anyway,
I think now that you're saying that, it makes me wonder. They came in saying, "Hey, all this Forest Service land, we should designate at least this portion of it because it's
as wilderness."
With the exception of one place where a mine had once gone in.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the scar from that mine.
Still.
I think it's in the White Cloud area.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was young and I didn't understand what was going on, and it felt kind of sudden. So I didn't sign the petition.
Yeah.
I might have now.
Really? Yeah.
I might have now, but back then I was like, I felt like I didn't have enough information.
No, that's a safe bet.
So it's one thing to be invested in something and know the history, but when you're in a class and somebody just shows up and says, "Hey, passing this around,"
I want you to sign this. I don't have anybody here with an opposing view, so you have to believe 100% my story.
And now that I teach psychology, social psychology suggests that I probably would have signed it just because everybody else was signing it, but I didn't.
Right.
Because there was a different motivation that I had because I didn't understand enough.
Right.
Now that I understand, it's different, but it doesn't matter. It's all hindsight.
Yeah.
We have 3 areas that are part of this larger designated.
And now they're designated
area.
wilderness, and a designated wilderness means something different than a national forest.
Yeah.
Means something very different. So and it has to do with flights, with travel, with how you can experience.
Like motorized vehicles particularly. Right.
And so anyways, I drove up. I took my 6-year-old camping. Is that where I was going?
Well, yeah. So, to come back full circle to this, you were on the cusp of one of these wilderness.
Yeah, the Frank Church, the largest roadless wilderness in the lower 48 is the Frank Church. It is central Idaho.
That's amazing.
I
live there.
It is something. And to stand across the river and stare into it. It's really fun. I don't know why. I just like it.
And I don't know if you're going to throw some video or pictures up, but the
I
video
will.
and pictures you showed me before. I mean, it took us a while to get to the podcast because of the story time and the pictures and video. And I'm still.
I wasn't even up there for very long.
No.
And it was cold.
But when you find a good place like that, it doesn't take long to go.
Yeah.
This is the place.
Yeah. Yeah. And so maybe it is. We found that place that you're going to.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, it looks like a busy place, but it's not that busy, right? People float down the river in front of you and wave to them, and it's a good time.
It has direct access to the greater Boise area.
Yeah.
But where I'm going is farther out of reach than most people probably go, so I'm cautiously optimistic that where I'm going this weekend camping is, not so busy.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
It's not where you went, and I'll be honest. I'll be thinking about that for the next 3 days.
Well, it was a very hurry up trip. I mean, what I ate at camp was hot dogs. I had 2 hot dogs for dinner and 2 hot dogs again for breakfast.
Okay.
I had marshmallows and hot dogs. I mean, we just didn't eat that. I had some pancakes. I cooked some pancakes.
Okay.
And just dipped them in syrup. Happy about that. That's some good dipping.
I remember when I used to be like against pancakes.
But yeah.
I'm sorry if that conjures up bad memories.
I don't know. You've been against a lot of different things. And I go, it's okay. You can be whatever you want, man. I like pancakes. Pancakes are just a lot of fuel.
Pancakes.
Yeah.
I've come around to pancakes via a particular type of flour that I buy, though. It's
okay.
A pancake mix. It's a baking mix.
Yeah.
Pioneer baking mix.
Yeah.
And that to me makes a pancake I don't hate, but the crusties.
Yeah.
Makes me think of cars. Yeah. Crusties. Anyway, but pancakes. I did pancakes now and waffles. I used to not like them at all, but I'd probably even eat a crusties. I'll be honest.
So yeah, it's a good energy source. I know it's a good energy source. when you're backpacking and camping. So that's why I like pancakes.
Curious question.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the what the heck is their name? It's like the bear paw pancakes. You get it from Costco, and it's got like tons of protein in it.
Oh, yeah.
You ever done those?
Yeah.
Those
power cakes or something.
Yeah. They make me feel uncomfortable when I eat them.
Yeah, there are some versions.
So much in that.
I don't want to talk about it. My wife knows some of the guys who run it because it's like local.
Oh, really?
They're like, it's crazy.
Okay.
So somebody she knows, I don't know too many people. Maybe she just says she knows them. Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't think there's a week that goes by that you don't bring that up and it's always something different. And so it didn't take me long to go, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
She knows everybody.
So she says she knows these people, and so she gets these things. And sometimes she gets these super high protein chocolate waffles.
Okay.
And it stinks up the entire house. They're terrible. And I would not eat them, and I would not feed them to my children.
Okay.
She can go ahead and feed them to her kids, which are also my kids. I know it's dumb.
That's fair.
I know it's dumb. I want my kids to know, hey, Dad's not going to feed you that crap. You want to eat it when Mom feeds it to you, go ahead. But if not, don't eat it. And it totally stinks. But they have some versions. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Oh, God. No, I see it. It's bouncing.
No.
It's not.
It's not recording.
Oh, damn it. Got any beer?
Um.
That deserves a beer.
I'm embarrassed. And not that we can... It's just that...
I'm going to...
12 minutes?
Yeah.
It's going to be non-audio recorded. Because it'll be on the video. On your phone, right?
Yeah, you want to just keep going?
Yeah, is that fair?
Yeah.
But it's 12 minutes versus 50 minutes.
Yeah. It's fine. Yeah, there was one time.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, now it matters. All right.
Do you need a beer?
Where the hell were? Yeah, if you got a beer, man, I would love a beer. You got no beer? It's okay.
Oh, I have Sam Adams, your favorite Boston. Bud.
Boston Lager,
Boston Bud.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I call it. Is that what I called it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went on a snooty phase of beers, and I'm like, you know what? This Sam Adams stuff, it's just Budweiser, but from a... And I found this guy on TikTok who goes over the aisles. He goes, let's see what company really owns every brand that you're buying. And he goes through, this is all Anheuser-Busch. Yeah, this is all Anheuser-Busch. This is all Coors. This is all this. He goes, yeah, there's a few. I think Deschutes. Deschutes is a still family-owned and run brewery. But, and what is this? Is this Sam Adams? Sam Adams, Boston Lager, and it is 5%, huh?
Yeah, it's not high.
No, I know. I didn't expect it to be.
I thought I had a couple dead guys in the fridge, and I don't.
Oh, that would have been a nice surprise.
But having gone to the store today and buying all the groceries for our camp trip.
Yeah.
I stopped in. That's where I bought these. And I bought some dead guy. But I didn't put dead guy in the fridge because I put it in our cooler in anticipation for our weekend. But I put a couple of these in the fridge. And so I'm sorry for that. But I will tell you this.
Yeah.
Dead guy 6-pack. And this has been this way for a long time. So... pointless story for the podcast.
Sure.
Moved to Pocatello to work on my bachelor's and master's degree.
Right.
At Idaho State. When I move up there, they have dead guy on the shelves at the local stores.
Okay.
About a month or two later, it just disappears. Completely gone. And I'm like, where is all the dead guy? It's gone.
Yeah.
And having been a beer distributor, deliverer, I'm just like, I'm confused.
Like
Okay.
I know the brand. I've been to the brewery. It's not like it could just disappear off the face of the earth. People like it that little. That wasn't the case at all.
Oh.
I don't know what the actual case is, but here's my assumption or
Okay.
educated guess. About 6 months after that, or maybe even a year, it took a while. It showed back up, but it showed back up. So we had my senior year of my bachelor's program. There's a football game against the University of Montana and Idaho State University. And I've got free tickets as a student to Idaho State. It's going to be in Idaho or at the ISU. I've got a buddy who's giving me his tickets. So Jane comes down and so does Troy. And I'm just we're housing all these people in this
Tiny
750 square foot townhouse.
Oh yeah.
We've got everything we can figure out. We've got couches, whatever.
That's family right there. That's family.
And we did our best. We got them tickets, and so, but we're all kind of going for U of I or U of M because we're from Montana,
right?
So it sucks to I'm getting my education at a place that I can't support because I'm Montana.
Yeah,
but
that's a tough one.
we have Idaho State tickets, so we can't necessarily sit with the Montana State or the University of Montana people. But it doesn't matter. That night, by the way, Idaho State University was honoring a former graduate football player during the football game.
Really?
Who was in the NFL? Who was named the NFL Defensive Player of the Year?
And
he was there in-house.
What's his name?
I forgot his name. Jared something. He played for the
Okay.
Minnesota Vikings.
Wow.
He was huge.
Wow.
He's there in-house, and Idaho State was having a bad year, but they had a really good game.
Yeah.
But the University of Montana ended up winning on the last minute drive. But there were some sketchy things that went on. I don't want to get, but I honestly feel like there was a faked injury from the University of Montana to create more time so they could have a better plan to get within field goal range or something like that. Anyway,
sure.
They ended up winning by 1 point, 12-11 or 13-12 or something silly like that. But anyway, the point of the story was about dead guy.
Yeah.
So Jane comes down and her boyfriend, her husband at the time, we're like, well, we got to go to the local store and get some beer after the game. So we go down and I see Dead Guy. I don't even look at the price. I'm just like, it's Dead Guy. It's my favorite beer of all time. I grab a 6-pack, I put it in there, and it's like $10.99. I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
And at the time, 6 packs of beer are like $5.99, $6.99.
Oh.
Even for premium beers. Like this. So when they rang it up at the cash register, I was like, what's going on? Well, how's that so expensive? And I'm like, don't question it. It's Dead Guy. So I just paid it, even though I didn't really have the money at the time. And so they had their prices. Dead Guy did.
Yeah.
And this is 2008.
Okay.
The price of a 6-pack of Dead Guy in 2008 in Pocatello, Idaho was $11.99 or $12.99 or $10.99. It was ridiculous compared to every other brand.
Right.
But what are the prices on a 6-pack of beer now?
I don't know. About $10.
About the same.
Yeah.
But their price has not gone up. So I'm happy that they didn't go up. But it's almost as if they saw it coming. The price of beer was going to get to where a 6-pack.
They knew 15 years ago. Just raise the price now.
Apparently, that's what they did.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
I don't know that they knew it. I can't make that claim, but it makes you wonder because it's like every 6-pack of beer is roughly the same price now.
Yeah.
The second point of the story was, and if you can rewind the tape, at Fred Meyer here in Twin Falls, you can buy a 6-pack of Dead Guy for $11.99. Sometimes it's on sale for $10.99.
Yeah.
But if you go to a little end cap that they have, they've got a whole bunch of different beers that you can buy a mixed pack.
Yeah.
For $9.99. So if there's 6 Dead Guys on the shelf, it's a 6-pack of Dead Guy for less than $10.
Oh.
So I got a 6-pack of Dead Guy today for $10.
For less than $10?
At $10.99.
For $10.99. Okay.
Anyway, to make a long story longer.
Wow, that was epic. So anyway, I went camping with my son on the edge of the wilderness. It was 97 degrees in Twin Falls. You can cut
all of that out if you want.
It was 97 degrees in Twin Falls.
It's been pretty warm lately.
And it was below freezing. The dew had frozen on the four-wheeler seat, and I went to wipe it off, and it was ice. It just came up like frosting on a Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, we've been through that before in Oregon.
Yeah.
And there's the trick to that. Now, you can't do it with a four-wheeler, but with your camp chairs at night, tip them over or fold them up.
Or bring them in the tent.
Yeah. Yeah, there's options.
The way we do the cabin tent now is pretty slick.
Yeah.
Where there's not much room.
Nah.
But we can sit, we can stand, we can lay down, we can cook.
Yeah.
That's all we need.
I've got a cabin tent and then a big giant tent, 6-person tent, but it's only good for 3 cots.
Right.
That's what we do this weekend is Mom and Dad get the big cabin tent.
Oh yeah?
Boys get the the 3-cot tent, and we also have a how would you say an exodus room, a bathroom.
Yeah.
We have one of those, and I've never opened it. We bought it last year. I saw somewhere I saw it on sale. I was like, I'll just throw it in the cart. It was like $35.
Yeah.
But so we have a bathroom too. So
yeah, very nice. My exploration with my son was a lot of fun. We saw some guys fishing for I think Chinook salmon. I'm gonna spend some more time up there, hopefully fishing and catching some fish. Right around your birthday is about the peak of salmon season.
You're making me want to change my plans because I'm going to the one place, and you know the one place, and again with all the distraction and all the things that I've done to deter you from your story of talking about your exploration. I'm not that distracted from your exploration conversation because it is a beautiful, pristine. It's not pristine, but it's as close to pristine as we're going to get.
It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous,
and the water.
It's so pretty. It's so
so
amazing.
crystal clear.
Yeah. So it was worth the 3.5 hours drive. And my wife's like, you want to take a 6-year-old, just you and one 6-year-old, 3.5 hours deep with a giant 4-wheel. And I'm like, yeah.
Didn't suck, did it?
It did not. It did not. Although it was kind of discouraging because I did go in on 4th of July weekend and I had trouble finding a camping spot. Not that there's a ton of camping spots and they're all full, but the few spots that they did have were pretty much taken. There were plenty of places to go, but
we've talked about some of these dynamics before on the podcast in terms of pre and post pandemic.
Yeah.
And so when the pandemic hit, we talked about how I think we talked about campers, but I know we talked about hunting licenses went up.
Yeah, much.
But we recently talked about how hunting licenses went back to pre-pandemic levels.
Right.
But what I haven't done a good job of is reiterating articles that I've seen, and I should include those when I come across them. I should just make sure I take a shot of them and include them.
Yeah.
And that is the camping has stayed as strong as it became during the pandemic.
Yeah. There's a lot of campers.
It makes me nervous for this weekend because I have a place in mind that I want to go. It's a great little place. You've been there. We've been there many times. And it just... But again,
there's some alternatives up there, but they're few and far between.
Yeah, the way that particular creek runs, the mountains are really steep around.
Yeah,
and so I don't know.
It's few and far between.
We're leaving early tomorrow, and
how long of a drive is that?
It's about 3 hours, I think.
Oh, that's not.
You know. So if we leave at 10, we're up there by 1 or 2.
Yeah,
and hopefully we're beating the crowd, and that's usually what it is. It's the same thing as hunting, right?
Yeah,
we talk about how the earlier you get out, the better.
Yeah.
We have known that and practiced that, particularly around the Wisdom area. We knew that if we went during the middle of a week versus the end of the week, we'd get the place we wanted.
Yeah.
And so it really is
true.
It really is about getting out before everybody else and knowing what it takes and being able to do what it takes to do that. Can't always do it, but cautiously optimistic that tomorrow we'll get out there early enough that we'll have a nice place.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll have fun. My intent with taking my 6-year-old out was quite specifically that he just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I just want him to have fun. I just want him to go camping. I just want him to help me pack elk out someday.
How did it work?
Awesome.
You showed me some videos. And
awesome.
I have to agree that it just looked like he was able to let loose and just kind of do his thing.
He got to be a little boy in the woods, running around, throwing sticks, throwing rocks in the water, waving at people. Yeah, it was really, really great for both of us. To have some dad time with me is always good because he likes to play rough. But it was very intentional going where I went. It was very, very. I really wanted to. I really wanted to find some places.
You've talked to me about the logic behind all of that, and it's and it makes sense given the culture of camping and everything that we've seen in the last several years.
Yeah,
your approach, I can't really argue with, and you have to go a little bit farther. Yeah, but when you get there, how much more worth it is it?
Yeah, it's there. We drove to Wisdom.
Yeah,
we drove to Wisdom, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
That was 7 hours.
24 years ago.
And we've done it how many times? Half a dozen times since then.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. It's worth it to a place that beautiful.
But a place that beautiful, by the time we were done, there were more people showing up there.
True.
And so what you're doing is you're finding places farther off. And so here's the thing. What this means is your ability to have this experience rather, is limited unless population declines or people just can't get out.
Or grizzly bears come back.
Oh, it almost feels like a segue right here.
Will thin the crowd, I promise.
Almost makes me want to segue to
it does.
To the only thing that I brought this week.
Let me give you a quote from Daniel Boone, and I may have given you this quote before, but Daniel, you're talking about how I feel pressured. You know, you go to these pristine places and there's nobody camping there, and then you feel pressured by other campers. You're like, well, I'll go find a place even further away, right? What do I do when I'm pushed out of this place, right? What do I do? Daniel Boone was noted to have said, when your closest neighbor is a 2 days ride, it's time to move. That's how much. That's how much elbow room he needed.
And fast forward, I'm going to go ahead and segue. We don't have to stay with grizzly bears, but I'm just going to segue to something. So yesterday, backstory for anyone who's interested. Barnes & Noble has a really cool program, and I've known it for years now. They've been doing it almost a decade, maybe even longer. I don't know when they started it, but it is, if you have a child in grades 1 through 6, they have a summer reading program where they read a book, they write down the title of the book, they write down the author, and if they read so many books, they go into Barnes & Noble to get a free book.
Very cool.
And so we've been doing that for years.
Nice.
And so we only have one child in that age range now, but yesterday we decided it was the day, he had all his paperwork filled out, so we all kind of venture out to Barnes & Noble last night, and of course, they're looking at their books, and mom's looking at the books she wants to look at, and I'm there, so I'm gonna look at books. And coincidentally, by the way, I almost said coincidentally. It's not coincidentally.
You search out.
What are some things for the podcast?
Yeah, well, you can search out elk content.
I was looking for elk content. In fact, I actually Googled at one point books about elk. So I have a book that I've talked about last season about elk tactics, but I got that at a sportsman's store. Yeah. But I was actually hoping to find a book on the biology of elk, somebody that has put like whatever, but it wasn't at Barnes & Noble. It didn't exist. But while I was kind of rummaging through and looking at stuff, I came across a book called The Grizzly in the Driveway. Yeah. The Return of Bears to a Crowded American West.
Yeah, you're right. That is a good segue. That is a fantastic segue.
Okay, Robert Cheney is the name of the author.
Yeah. I am going to read this book.
Here is the synopsis.
I'm listening.
4 decades ago, the areas around Yellowstone and Glacier National Parks sheltered the last few hundred surviving grizzlies in the lower 48. Protected by the Endangered Species Act, their population has surged to more than 1,500. And this burgeoning number of grizzlies now collides with the increasingly populated landscape of the 21st century American West. While humans and bears have long shared space, today's grizzlies navigate a shrinking amount of wilderness. Cars whiz like bullets through their habitats. Tourists check Facebook to pinpoint locations for a quick selfie with a grizzly, and hunters seek trophy prey. People, too, must learn to live and work within the potential predator's territory they have chosen to call home.
That's right.
Mixing fast-paced storytelling with rich details about the hidden lives of grizzly bears, Montana journalist Robert Cheney chronicles the resurgence of this charismatic species against the backdrop of the country's long history with the bear. Chaney captures the clash between groups with radically different visions, ranchers frustrated at losing livestock, environmental advocates, hunters, and conservation and historic preservation officers and tribal nations. Underneath, he probes the balance between our demands on nature and our tolerance for risk.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and this is 2022. It was published last year, so it's recent.
yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. I came across a study. It relates to this. I came across a study. They were studying swimmers off Cape Cod. 90% of the swimmers studied by drone off Cape Cod were watched by great white sharks.
Wow.
90%. I saw that, and as for fun, on my radio show, I go, how would you still go camping if there was a 90% chance a grizzly's going to watch your camp? You still going camping? Right?
Yeah.
That changes the equation.
Yeah.
When you got kids with you?
Yeah.
When you got good bacon? Not spam. No, I'm just kidding.
Ouch.
So you know, they're about the same level, kids and good bacon.
Not that I know. Don't ask me how I know this.
Anyway, so the grizzly bear, that's so fascinating that you found that book. It's so fantastic. I'm totally going to read that. Totally going to read that book. Because what did we talk about last week on the podcast?
Exactly.
Grizzly bears in people's
Yes.
driveways. Yeah.
I know. When I saw that, I was like, this is uncanny
We're
that I came
just
across
talking about
this.
it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seems like it's a very objective book because from that synopsis,
Yeah.
it's looking at all sides. It's
Yeah.
not just like it's this side or that side. In fact, there's a
Yeah.
story today that we have to talk about, a TikTok that you sent me that was very much one-sided.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We'll talk about that.
and
coming
we'll
up,
talk
but-
about it. And it's not that but we'll get to that later. But it felt one-sided. But compared
Right, you look, it's hard to make sure that what you're seeing is objective. Even if
Yeah.
they live out one person's opinion, right? But they've considered the native perspective, and they've considered hunters, and they've considered
Yeah.
ranchers, and conservationists, and
Yeah.
they've done a lot. They've done a lot.
So I'm curious if the book holds up to what that synopsis stands. And then
Yeah.
the video sent. In its defense, I wasn't able to finish that video, but everything that I watched, which I'm guessing I watched about half of it,
Yeah.
felt like it was one-sided towards a particular industry.
I feel like you and I have been writing this book on the podcast since it began.
The grizzly bear?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
honestly, since it began.
Yeah.
We've talked about the proliferation of grizzly bears.
Yes.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about
as
the-
a bubble, as it's exponential growth. It's exponential growth of grizzly bears.
And we've talked about the need to manage,
Yes,
particularly this
manage.
particularly this
Yeah.
season. We talked about the need to manage predators.
Just last week, we talked about Montana is implementing a plan to
Yes.
hunt grizzly bears.
Yeah.
To manage grizzly bears. It means to hunt, and that's
Yeah.
good. It means to hunt. Either that, or send them here to the Frank Church, or send them to
California.
California.
Thank
I
you.
know you're there
Beat me
with
to
me.
it.
I appreciate it. So that's something needs to happen. 15. We went from a few hundred to 1,500. That's a lot. That's how many wolves there are in Idaho.
I'm kind of surprised, but not at how many grizzly bear deaths there have been this year.
Yeah,
It speaks
Yes.
the truth
Not-
to what we just
not people killed by grizzly bears, but
No,
grizzly bears
killed by people.
Yeah.
that.
We're
saying
at
something.
4 or 5 this year, aren't we?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, and they came out of their dens 3 months ago, 2
Yeah.
months ago. Yeah. So, anyways, the grizzly bear question, like we always say, is a question we're going to continue to follow.
And I will say
Yeah.
the title for that book, Mr. Chaney,
Yeah,
The Grizzly in the Driveway, is
perfect.
on the nose.
Perfect. Yeah.
On the nose. I hope to read it soon.
Yeah, there's what we have right now is an ecosystem where nobody is scaring those bears away with rifles.
It makes me more and more depressed
Yeah.
how many videos I see where a bear is intruding on humans and the humans are like, shh, don't touch it, or
don't
I'm
frighten
inside,
it. Don't frighten it.
No, it's the opposite reaction.
Yeah, it really is.
And I get it. It seems counterintuitive, but the bear is not going to eat you. You're more afraid of it than it is of you.
Yeah. Trust me,
make some noise.
Most dad reactions to bears are, I'm going to scare this bear. Some people that aren't dads, and I don't know if it's honestly just dads, if it's a gender thing, but some people that aren't dads be like, hey, get off of there, or oh, shut the door, oh, don't startle him. But dads are like, this is my spot, I'm protecting my spot,
and I'll just loud to support your term, to support your idea. Dad is a subjective title. You could be male or female dad.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely, yeah. I've known some female dads that will put me to shame. For sure. All right.
So there you go. It was a good segue. I don't know where to go from here, but that book.
Yeah. That's fascinating that you found that. Grizzly bears. Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen. And either we have to thin them out. They either have to be spread out over a larger area with some help into California, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and eventually, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and disperse them into all the other states. They will just keep growing exponentially until everybody needs to have a plan to harvest them, to manage them.
I said I don't know where to segue to. Well, you actually posted something from Glacier.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like this fits just at a glance. So Grizzly Bear Glacier, those who have packed far up into grizzly country. So this is different.
No, this is a good segue. This is good. Yeah, read this.
Those who have packed far up into grizzly country know that the presence of one grizzly, even one grizzly, on the land elevates the mountain. Hold on, I'm reading this all wonky.
That's all right.
Those who have packed far up into grizzly country know that the presence of even one grizzly on the land elevates the mountains, deepens the canyons, chills the winds, brightens the stars, darkens the forest, and quickens the pulse of all who enter it.
It sharpens your emotions.
John Murray.
It sharpens your emotions.
Yeah.
When I went to get water that night and the wolves were yipping, right?
Yeah.
I am more alive in that moment. Right? The mountains are steeper. The air is colder. My feet are heavier. I mean, everything, every emotion is sharpened.
It makes me think of this. It's a weird connection here.
Yeah.
The movie The Bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love that movie.
The one guy is injured and he's left alone.
Yeah.
And he shoots a bullet at the moon. And it's a weird thing, but it's like, but there's wolves howling in the background.
Yeah.
So it's like a paranoia of sorts.
Yeah.
Like all of this, like being alone, that heightened sense of I, right? So it might seem a little bit disjointed in terms of a scene, but it's a very important scene of like, I'm by myself and I'm going to have my own thoughts. And it's weird.
I like being by myself in the wilderness. And I know it's something that I've always done from a young kid. I was telling you, when I first heard the grouse, I was alone.
So a backstory on the grouse. There's a grouse that you showed a video to me about.
It's called a ruffed grouse, and its mating is getting up on a log and beating its wings. A lot of grouse beat their wings, but this particular one sounds so much like a basketball bouncing on a hardwood floor.
That or a helicopter starting its propellers.
Right.
But that was the video you showed me. But I agree with the basketball analogy better.
Okay.
But when you said that, I'm like, yeah, it makes more sense to me. But
so, and that's what it sounded like to me when I was a kid, but I was alone. I would go when I was in junior high, and then when I was in freshman in high school, I would come home from school. I would get on my motorcycle and ride my motorcycle into the mountains alone.
Yeah. I've heard
miles and miles and miles. And I'd take my little squirrel gun. I had a little BB gun. I'd go hunt and shoot squirrels, and I'd just march around the woods. And I just loved it so much. And that's where I heard that grouse, and I never knew what it was. I thought my eardrums, right? Because it's air pressure.
Yeah.
I thought maybe my eardrums are being weird or something. But and then I heard it again. I figured it out later in life, but as a kid, as a 14, 15-year-old, I did not know what that noise was, and it was really cool.
And somehow my follow-up to that was emptied and drained quickly. So I didn't
I'm
have
so
anything.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
It wasn't your fault because I was following along and I was like, how do I follow up with that? And then I was trying to make sure I had something else ready to go. And
well, we'll move through the stories. I showed David a TikTok of a grouse doing that and someone narrating it for us so we could hear it and understand what was going on, because answers are a little bit easier to get than they were in 1987 when I was riding my motorcycle into the mountains hearing things. Right?
An obscure, very loose connection just popped in my mind. Something I wanted to ask you, and I know it's probably not right on the podcast, but
okay.
Everybody, this is left field, but so you're talking about a mating call?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Right, a mating call from a grouse.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to talk about a comedian who talks about humans not getting married, which is related to mating, right?
Okay, yeah, of course.
What do you know of Sam Kinison?
I knew that he was a very big character in the 80s. He screamed a lot. He was very fun, very energetic. Used to be a preacher. Very charismatic. You have to be charismatic to be a preacher.
I recently discovered him.
And he died, I think, like right after his wedding or right near his wedding. He died in a motorcycle accident. Yeah. Very sad that we lost him, but he was a good comedian.
Yeah, early 90s. He died in a tragic accident.
Yeah, he actually had a music video on MTV called Wild Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great video. Great song.
He hosted Saturday Night Live at one point.
Yeah,
Sorry, I know it's a bit of a left field thing.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I recently discovered him, and I'm just like, where has this guy been? Well, in the ground, but don't get married. And that whole bit on his, he's screaming in your face. Like, when you get married, it's going to be like this. And then it's just a matter of screaming for the next 5 minutes. But,
yeah.
So, anyway,
he was just really in your face. He was a great character.
The dumbest loose connection ever, but we can get back on track now.
Okay.
Anyway,
what do you
thank
have?
you. Bear in a power line.
The bear in the power line. Yeah. As we talk about the bear in the driveway, it's the same thing. It's the metaphor. The bear in the power line.
It's not too far removed.
It really is. We are interacting as the wilderness stays and humans continue to grow and encroach on that wilderness. This is one of those interactions. This is a grizzly in the driveway, very much.
You know, how many times do we hear about bears being stuck in a tree?
Every year.
Is it really stuck? It's just in a place where humans live, and they're like, we're worried. So I don't think but this case, it is a human-made structure. Now, we've talked about this before. When should man intervene? If man had an influence on this being the case. So in this case, we should remove this bear from this power line.
We should help the poor guy out. Yeah.
Tranquilize his butt. Didn't you send me something else?
I did.
About a bear being tranquilized? Maybe not.
Oh, I don't know. That doesn't sound right.
Well,
doesn't sound like me. Check your text messages. Because all of that was in the text messages. I sent you the one TikTok, and we can talk about that guy because he was talking about farming deer.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Ozzy, we're doing a podcast right now. Can I help you?
No, I'm just.
Okay.
Well, where did that come from?
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Can you head out because we're just recording right now. We're almost done.
I want 10 minutes after.
Okay, I'll make sure and give you 10 minutes. Okay, buddy. All right, thanks. Will you shut the door?
Okay.
Thanks, buddy. Anyway.
In 2 years of doing this,
Yeah, I'm surprised.
it's only happened like twice. That's the second time that's ever
Well,
happened.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's not bad.
So what do you have?
Sorry, I don't have anything in terms of what you text. It's not there. So
okay.
I maybe I saw something, but I wasn't in a position to be able to take a screenshot and remember it more fully.
Okay.
Something about a black bear being tranquilized, but I'm like, it's more of the same of we're a species that's encroaching on.
Let's talk about the video I did send you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a new law, and so we talked to a guy in our elk hunting area.
Yeah.
Who is a taxidermist back east.
Yes.
And he talks about how every year there's new record bucks because these guys are feeding them.
Yeah.
These guys are feeding them super, super high nutrition. And what this guy's talking about is a law in Kansas that says you cannot put deer feeders out or
Yeah.
minerals.
Yeah.
Or minerals, which I have much to say on.
Okay.
As a person who lives out west,
Sure.
there's a lot of public land.
Lots.
Lots of public land, and I'm free to hunt it all. And in Kansas, there's probably not much, if any.
Right.
But I'm totally against it. I'm totally against just raising deer to shoot them. It's not hunting. It's not hunting. Don't call it hunting. You know what? If you're feeding them and you have your trail cameras out, you take pictures of them year after year, you still have trouble killing them, but you're just growing. You're just growing deer. You're feeding deer.
It makes me wonder if you could argue that this is more of a canned hunt
Yeah.
than a real hunt.
Yeah. Well, and then sure, throw a rifle in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're training an animal that this is where a food or a sustenance of some sort
Right.
comes from.
Right.
And so it's easy to just be there.
Yeah.
So it's not legitimate in a way to
Right.
the traditional ways of hunting.
Yeah. So I did see it though, and I'm glad. And so I have more to say about this. I'm glad that the state of Kansas is following other states in outlawing feeding deer. And you see, there's a fun trend on TikTok. You know, this guy takes a 40-pound sack of corn and dumps it in the woods and says, "Well, you know, I know it's illegal to feed deer, but this is for the squirrels." Right.
Sure.
And it's
sure.
it's a 40-pound bag. So there's some places it's illegal, and I understand the urge.
Sure.
Right. I have hiked for hours and hours and
not
hours
seeing anything.
and then come across a salt lick and go, oh man,
that too.
I could just sit there and watch that salt lick for a few days. I bet something will come along.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and this gentleman, and with all due respect to this gentleman,
Indeed.
he's
Indeed.
a part of an industry that was raised on the reality that you could actually have a product that you deliver to an ungulate.
Yeah.
That's an industry, a huge industry.
Yeah.
And that's the vibe I got from this individual.
Yeah.
I appreciated the individual calling out and asking, what's the qualifications for you making this law?
Indeed.
And so I don't have enough information from his side or the other side as to why it's outlawed.
Neither do I, but it makes sense.
It does make sense, but I do appreciate
which is wrong of me to say.
the qualifications
Right?
by the gentleman, though, was like, here's all that I've done.
Yeah.
So he knows what he's done.
He's covered his bases. He has.
He's got his experiences. We have to take him at face value.
Of course.
But I also know of people, like I graduated high school with somebody who became a biologist in the Forest Service.
Right. You told me.
And so there's education and time and time spent in the field and ongoing research that happens. So
Yeah. And ongoing education.
right. And so I can't remember if the gentleman in the video talked about, because he reached out and didn't get a response or didn't get he didn't get a response that he was happy with. I don't know which one.
Right. I think they just failed to respond.
In a way.
Right.
So anyway, I think it's an ongoing issue, and
Yeah.
hopefully he can get his answers that he needs, but it doesn't mean he'll like them.
Right.
But hopefully he can get the answers he needs. But I do agree that you brought up a really important point before the podcast that I think is the most central piece to this, and
that would be my takeaway. Yeah.
The important takeaway is if you want animals to habitat somewhere,
Yeah.
improve the habitat.
Right.
You don't need to lure them in.
Right. If you understand the biology of your animals that you're hunting, and the landscape in which you live, if you understand those things, and you understand native plant species, you understand what the deer love.
Yeah.
You understand what kind of trees give the best shade. How long before the acorns and when is that cycle? All of those things. If you understood all those things, then a bait station doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Right.
Right?
Because nature should be the bait station.
It really should be. It really should be. So and I use the example of elk. So I know that they do special depredation hunts. There are too many elk that come down into farmland and eat all the alfalfa and just tear it up. And they go, hey guys, you guys want to come and kill some elk? And they do it all the time. And they just come out and they kill these elk. So that's killing an elk in an alfalfa field.
Yeah.
Is that hunting?
So, but it also beckons the question, what about areas that are overpopulated to a degree that it doesn't make sense? There's just not much you can do for the habitat.
Yeah.
Other than bait.
Then the carrying capacity of the land has been reached, and they need to be managed differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me.
But could that be argued that that's a way that you would manage it differently?
Well, I don't know.
Is it just a question? I don't know either.
Yeah.
It's just a question. Like, so there's more, there's many questions as I think there are answers here. But
Yeah, always.
It's specific to location and elements.
Yeah.
This is in Kansas, right?
Yes, correct.
And is there
Correct.
lots of open places in Kansas still?
As far as public land,
I don't know about public land, but as far as
I
open,
would say no.
well,
Yeah.
time out though. Public land and private land. I mean, let's change the script here. Developed land. How much undeveloped land?
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, I don't know.
I would imagine that there's a lot of undeveloped land still.
Sure.
Which allows for a carrying capacity, but does that mean that you should be able to do?
There's a few forests. I'm sure there's a few creek bottoms, and I'm sure there's places that are still wild in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
even undeveloped in terms of like it might be farmland, but it's not developed in terms of like,
it's not cultivated every year.
Well, no, it's not. It could be cultivated. Deer can still kind of go from field to field to field.
Of course.
But I mean, just like housing and things like that.
Oh, I got you. Developed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
There's a lot of elements to it.
Yeah.
I have no premise to say that I have any understanding of the answers at all, but just things that pop up as we're talking about this. Like here are other aspects.
The guy in the video is a TikTok video. The guy in the video was very articulate.
Very cool guy.
Yeah.
I didn't hate him.
I really felt for him. I disagreed. I disagreed, but I really felt for him.
Yeah.
Which was tough. It was tough. Because he's a hunter, right? He's an outdoorsman. He's like, this is the way I've been doing it. I want to keep doing it this way. Why are you changing it? Give me a real reason. And standing back, you go, well, that's pretty good reasons, I think. But all right.
Hopefully they can get that ironed out, and hopefully
Right.
for him, he can get answers that.
And like I was saying,
is what
the
it
difference between a cultivated field of alfalfa and creating habitat for elk, like what are they called? Trees, cottonwood. The cottonwood trees. So you create cottonwood groves. If you really want to create elk habitat, there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's a lot of stuff you can do to help mule deer habitat as well.
Yeah.
So and wherever you live, whatever species you're looking for. So I think there's a better way. And if this guy flips his own script and says, you know what, I'm going to send you seed boxes, and now you can plant and restore your ground.
There you go.
I mean, that's exactly what he needs. What he needs to do
So-
if the law passes.
So all of a sudden, I'm thinking, how is that not the industry?
I know.
I have
know.
something that the deer might come eat, but what they
Yeah.
don't eat grows into their habitat.
Yeah. Yeah, it grows naturally. And there's nothing wrong with planting it because it grows naturally.
Yeah.
Right? You can grow and you can cultivate it. You can weed it. You can cut some trees down, you can trim some, all that stuff. All that stuff.
So anyway,
There's a better way. There's a better way.
There's a way.
I'm not a botanist. And I wish I was. I wish I understood more about all that stuff, because I would put seed packets together and say, this is what your landscape should look like. This is what a native ecosystem is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can find that happy middle ground.
Yeah.
Because ultimately that's what it.
They have to. The carrying capacity, right? The reasons humans can surpass carrying capacity is because feedlots. we can just manufacture food.
vertical harvesting.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Let's go to Wow. Am I not prepared? What is going on with my phone here? It's not shifting through all the images there. Let's see. Let's talk about elk.
Okay. Elk in Idaho?
Elk in Idaho.
Okay. The Great Sawtooth Zone.
Great.
We've mighty Sawtooth Zone. With so many wolves and bears and elk. Huge numbers.
Capped tags for elk hunting.
Yeah.
And I learned about this early on. So in 2014, I ran into hunters in the zone that I hunt now who missed out on their opportunity to get tags from the Sawtooth zone.
Yeah.
And they seemed kind of miffed. And this is like, I have to find a new area. And I tried telling them what I had been seeing because I'm familiar with the area, only a year or two into it. But I knew enough that I felt like this is important information. I shared with them. Here's what I'm experiencing. Here's what I would encourage you to consider. They didn't consider what I had to say because they did the opposite. But but in that experience, I learned about, and I'm pretty sure there's episodes where we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Where I learned that the growl that I thought was maybe a bear was actually elk.
Uh-huh.
And it was that episode where, or that experience between those hunters, I said, hey, they're not bugling, so it wouldn't make much sense to bugle. There's just not much going on noise-wise. But I got to the top of the hill. They got to the top of the hill. They started bugling like crazy, but I started hearing a bull that was frustrated in a stand of trees in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He was in the kitchen. And he was making bear noises. When I say bear noises, it's just grunts and growls. And I'm like, is that an elk? But then he made a noise in the middle of all that. And I was there for about 2 hours listening to him.
Wow.
Where he made just the smallest little bugle in the middle of all his grunting. And I was like, oh,
wow.
It was this epiphany of that's an elk making those noises.
Yeah.
So I will think differently about those kind of grunts and groans in the wilderness, particularly elk season.
Yeah.
Because that was a frustrated bull who was upset with some aggressive bull or the perception of aggressive bull in the vicinity, which ultimately at that point, my knowledge base got, I don't know if it became more biased or more supported that what I had told those hunters was correct.
Right.
They're not bugling. Bugling tends to push them out.
Yeah.
Because that bull was in that stand of trees. After that bugling happened, he didn't bugle back. It was always in this like 20, 30-minute intervals that he would grunt.
Huh.
And I was there for like 2, maybe 3 hours. I was there for a long time. But he moved farther and farther away every time he'd grunt.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
It was a really important lesson for me in understanding the behavior. When you have to kind of get out there, assess what's going on.
Yeah.
Initially, you have to bugle.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, if you've never been to an area, but you have somebody who's been to the area,
you need to make some elk noises. Yeah.
But if you have somebody that gives you information about the elk in an area that you're not familiar with, it's okay to listen to that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I felt disrespected, but I would say that it rubbed me wrong.
Yeah.
And that sort of proved the point. But again, to each their own.
They'll never know.
To each their own.
Yeah. So you know what? That tactic works. You hike and you bugle. You hike, you bugle. You hike, you bugle. Something answers. You go and you get it. That tactic works.
Right.
It's just they just hike and bugle all day. Yeah.
It can.
Yeah, it can.
But that
if it works once, that's all they're ever gonna do.
Right. And I'm saying for me, I hope to be gracious enough to know that there's other strategies, and that's what I had come across.
Yeah.
Because I'd been up there in the short time that I'd been up there, the couple of years that I've been there, I'd experienced a huge range of different types of behaviors and experiences with bugling.
Yeah.
Because I had the previous year had elk bugling at me. That year they weren't bugling. The following year I had you up there. They were bugling like crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes on to it, but the whole point of what we're talking about was there's a zone here in Idaho that's highly competitive for tags.
Yeah.
The Sawtooth zone.
Yep.
And we went there last June.
Yeah.
Well, a year ago last June.
We saw some elk.
And
yeah, they looked good. One had a radio collar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I get it.
So we'll get pictures of the Sawtooth zone when I get back up there and get those cameras. I went through every weekend I have available through the end of September, and I'm completely booked. this weekend, next weekend, the week, everything.
What's
everything.
next weekend?
Next weekend, I'm going out with you.
Okay, I was worried you were going to say something else.
No, that next week's you. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, crap, because I didn't necessarily forget, but I also know that life for you is just always kind of on the go. So I wasn't. No disrespect. I just wanted to make sure.
My wife's going to be gone to the CrossFit Games for a couple of those weekends.
Okay.
So
it was that we dropped a water bottle.
Yes.
That we want to see if it's still there after 4 years.
Yeah.
And I've got a 12-year-old that just is dying to get up there. And it's a Saturday Sunday thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I think he'll be excited for that. And
yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
I'm excited too. We're gonna hike on Sunday.
Something. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are we done? Are we done with our stories?
Is
that it? Oh
no.
Oh, okay.
I just put it down because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take. Didn't take long at all.
That's okay.
Actually.
We better hustle through. We're over the hour mark. So.
Oh, we are. Holy crap! I just looked up. There was 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Downtown Helena, historical picture.
Yeah, that was just for you.
Okay, just for me. Yeah. Lake Mead, historical picture before it was full.
Yeah, I do want to comment on this picture. I'll throw it up there. I do want to comment. First of all, this is Lake Mead before it was full, right after it was finished. Second of all, nowadays, 2023, how rich do you have to be to have a boat? I don't have a boat.
I don't have a boat.
How rich do you have to be during the Great Depression?
Oh, yeah.
1935, those guys are out on a boat. Woo! Okay. No worries in the world, man. That is the midst of the Great Depression. That was the only point I wanted to make on that one. But
badgers eating beavers.
Badgers eating beavers. We definitely talked about that. This is one of those.
This will be our last one.
This is one of those. Nature's cruel, dude. Nature is cruel. We use broadheads. We try to kill these animals fast, and we are humanely fast.
Yeah.
Nature does not care.
No, doesn't.
Not even a little. And there's a badger that heard these beaver pups inside a beaver den, and it dug into the beaver den, and it got and ate one of the pups before mom or dad got back to defend him and to protect him. So it only got one of them. It only got one of them.
Man, that's brutal.
Nature's brutal. Nature is brutal.
The farther we get away from nature, I think the least we learn to appreciate just how good it really is.
And it's harder and harder to get close to nature.
Right? And that's crazy that this conversation comes full circle that way, because that's where this started off with.
Yeah.
What if, or not what if, it's when your ability to get out to places like where you went last weekend is no longer available.
Yeah. And it will be, and they're talking about it. I have heard people talking like, the future is, it might have even been in the book I read. The future is, all campsites are going to have to be reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just, I need it for this many days, and it's
Some
always
states
full.
already do that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do.
Idaho, I think, has toyed with that.
We were lucky that 24 years ago, we took some time off in July.
Yeah.
A whole week in Wisdom.
Week.
And Wisdom. And we saw one person all week long.
Well,
we were on those roads until Wildflower.
Until Wildflower. We didn't see anybody until
no one.
It was crazy. And then we saw 2,000 people.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
That was a fun, fantastic experience.
Yeah.
But it changed. They just don't make them like they used to, I guess.
It's 7:42 and all is well.
Yeah, true.
Sorry, that's every time that the hour would hit. I don't know what was going on with me. I was 17 years old.
Yeah,
and I had a watch.
Yeah,
and every time I hit the hour, if I was looking at my watch, I saw it and I'd say, "Oh, it's 8 o'clock and all is well."
I always found comfort in that.
Really?
I always liked it when you said it at camp. Yeah, cool. I'm like, all is well. Yeah, you're right. All is well.
I wasn't lamenting it. I just was like,
nice.
it's just some habit I had back then. I think about it often.
I say it in my head all the time now.
It's 8 o'clock and all is well.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
It was a good time. All
right, 58 days? 52?
54.
54. That's right, 54 days. 54 days until elk season. That is not very many. I can lose a pound a day, right?
Yeah, I went up since last week. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I was headed in the right direction, and I went
I know.
So, but I'll get there.
Have a good week.
Be well. Stay awesome.
Goodbye.